Welcome back to Ocala Talks. On a Friday, we're getting more and more towards the summer. People are getting out and about, going to the pools, going to the beaches. And, it's part of the summertime. Also part of the summertime should be some testing that maybe people have been putting off. And I'm talking about the people that bring us into the world, spend the rest of their lives caring for us and everyone around them. I'm talking about moms, wives, sisters, daughters, our heroes. Yet, 1 in 8 women in the U.S. will face the difficult diagnosis of breast cancer during her lifetime. And they make all kind of excuses right now for not going and getting tested. Not enough time, anxiety, the pandemic, or regular breast cancer screening reduces the risk of death within 10 years of diagnosis by 60%. And I don't know how discomforting it is, but I've always heard it's not a very comfortable test. But what if you could take control of your own care? There are new options many of you may not have heard about. For instance, what if you could help control the amount of pressure the machine uses? On the phone with us this morning is longtime patient advocate and cancer care expert DeLaO. Andy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Andy, this is one of those things that as a man I don't know too much about, but I remember my mom went and got a screening in the early 80s and got diagnosed with breast cancer and was able to overcome it because the doctor kept saying, you caught it super early. You caught it super early. How important are mammograms? Who needs them? And how crucial is early detection?
So, one, I'm glad that they were able to detect it early for your mother and that they were able to help her through that journey. Getting a screening mammogram is extremely important. If you're a woman age 40 or older and you haven't had a screening mammogram, I encourage you to go out, talk to your physician, get your screening mammogram scheduled. If you're a woman that has dense breast tissue, you have a higher incidence or probability of getting breast cancer in your lifetime. So again, I encourage you, please schedule your screening mammogram. If you happen to be a woman and you've got a mother or a sister or a family relative that has breast cancer, again, I encourage you to go out and get your screening mammogram. The earlier we can detect it, the earlier your treatment options are, and the higher the likelihood is that you can beat it and you will live a long, healthy life. And so please, I encourage the women out there to go schedule their screening mammograms.
Well, can you tell us what women are going to expect during that screening?
So I can. So I happen to work for GE Healthcare, and we've got a piece of equipment that we've designed that produces mammograms called Senograph Pristina. And it was designed for women by women. And so what a woman can expect when she goes in is that they're going to place some compression on her breast tissue. Now, what GE has introduced is a remote control called WOCA, which allows a woman to control the amount of compression. So that compression happens on their breast tissue. The more compression we get, the better the image we can obtain and give to a physician, a radiologist, to then look at that to see if there's cancer in that image and get that answer back to the patient. So compression, images taken, multiple images, and then the patient, the woman, can be on her way and can go home.
Okay, there is something called the comfy mammogram option that gives the patient control over their mammography experience, plus a way to get tested and get results in 36 hours versus several days. Tell us about that.
So again, the Senograph Pristina is the mammography equipment. The more comfortable aspect to the screening mammogram is with Duetta. So it's giving the woman that remote control and that ability to choose the amount of compression Now, what you just highlighted about being able to go from a, a diagnostic, so we've seen something to get an actual answer of if it's cancer or not, is something that GE Healthcare calls the one-stop clinic. So imagine going in for your exam and having a team around you to make sure that if they find something, they can go ahead and they can get you an answer as quickly as possible to know whether it's cancer or not. And that's the 36 hours of a one-stop clinic.
How important is it through this process to have a open and honest dialogue the whole time with your care provider?
So it's extremely important. There's something that I call the 4 T's of healthcare, and it's about trust. And so it's one, a patient trusting a physician and a physician trusting the patient. And the way that that trust is built is by having a transparent and open and honest conversation. And so there's some things that sometimes we're nervous or we're embarrassed to share with our physicians. But the more information and knowledge that we can share, the better that physician can actually help us in caring for us. So it's extremely important.
You've been a long time patient advocate and cancer care expert. But if a patient doesn't have that advocate that can be there for them, they can be their own advocate through the process. But how can they be there? How are they better served, or how can they better service themselves being their own advocate?
Yeah, so there's probably 4 things that I would educate anyone in order to be their own advocate. One is during that conversation to ask your physician, how often should I have a screening mammogram? The second one is to ask the physician, what type of breast tissue do you have? Do you have dense breast tissue? If you do, there's a 43% higher chance of experiencing breast cancer throughout your lifetime. And then the last 2 questions are, can I have a copy of my images, and can I have a copy of the radiologist report? Having copies of your imaging and the radiologist report is extremely important, because if you happen to move, if you want a second opinion, having a copy of your medical information and being able to share it is really, really important. And so those would be the 4 key things that I would say all of us can do to advocate for ourselves.
We've been talking with Andy DeLaO. Andy, if people want to find out more information or a website they can go to, give us that, please.
Yes, I would encourage your listeners to go to the website mymammo.com.
Mymammo.com. Andy, thanks so much for taking time out with us this morning to talk about this very important subject.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's something very serious. The quicker you catch it, the better the diagnosis. Oh, I'm having some sort of sneeze breakdown, folks. We'll be back at this time out. You're listening to 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.